Yeah, I agree absolutely, Mike. I mean, I would only give them money if they produce some sort of result or do some sort of work. We're not going to have them slave labour or anything like that, but they've got to have a clear linkage that you put effort in, you can generate an income.
And it can be something as simple as chores around the house, or
something simple. Make it fun. But I can see the point of Jeff, or the Jeff's wife saying, well, they just need something to get used to money. That's a good idea, but surely they can do something for that, whether it's just cleaning up their bedroom or something.
Okay, Jeff, good luck with the negotiations on that one in your family. Now, gentlemen, I'd like to just talk about, at this time of market volatility, which is well known, what really is the safer bet? Is it cash? Is it shares? Is it property? Is it super? Or is it a mix of all of the above, Mike?
Well, of course, it depends on what your own particular interest is, and every asset has good times and bad times. Now, people think you can't lose on cash. The reality is you can lose on cash. Probably the safer thing is cash in a bank, but you can lose on cash if perhaps where you've got a cash fund where a market manager is managing as part of that enhanced cashed options or other things.
What about a term deposit though?
Term deposit is very safe.
Yeah.
Of course, the trade-off for that is that if you are in cash, your potential return is minimised. Very, very safe, but you're only going to see 7, 8, 9% return. Now, the philosophy some people adopt, of course, at a time like this, and we are seeing it, the banks are reporting a flood of money to cash. People are coming out of other investments when there's volatility and going to cash. If you've minimised the downside for you, not good to sell when the market's low and you've got shares and it's a paper loss. The second you sell them, of course, it's a real loss. That's not a smart thing to do. But perhaps if you are an investor looking to go into the market for the first time, sitting in cash on the sidelines for the moment until the market's at a point you feel comfortable getting into is perhaps an easier way to do it. However, having said that, if you're in the market for the long term, there's no right or wrong term point to get in. There's a saying around that it's not about timing in the market, it's time in the market that'll get you the return. So it depends on your philosophy.
Jamie, do you agree with that? It's not about the timing of the market, but the time in it?
Absolutely. If you're investing for long term, I think also with the cash thing is actually now cash is more attractive than it's ever been. So I think cash is a short-term step where people are deciding where they want to put their money. At 7-8%, you can get in some CMT accounts as unreal, but that gives you a cash flow. It doesn't give you any growth on your money. So as Mike's saying, you're going to lose long term there. We're at an interesting time in the market where both the share market is sort of not crash high and the property market is not crash high. Generally, the share market is down, the property market is up, or vice versa. So it's fairly unique times right now, but that also gives opportunity. I think as an investor, you want to be looking and saying it's not what happens in the market. You invest, you would accept the market can go up or down. Generally, though, both those asset classes are good. And property, particularly for capital growth, is ideal long term. I generally use the share market more for cash flow and use the both together. So what should you be in? I'm a big believer in using both to your advantage, and that way the cycles don't matter because you can use the best of each.
Okay, our next caller on the line from New South Wales is Trish. Hi, Trish.
Hello, how are you?
We're doing well, thank you. It's a busy night on Your Money, Your Call. How can we try and assist you?
Okay, I have a question. I've read Jamie's book, and I actually did invest in a property which I did very well out of. I'm a mother of 4 and don't want to make any mistakes. I'm looking at buying a property in Bateman's Bay on the south coast, which is a house, but it's actually got a house at the top and another house at the bottom. What I'd like to do is actually live at the bottom and rent the top out as a holiday home. And basically what happens is we don't have a great deal of holiday places here left. So I would like some advice on finance. I earn about $83,000 a year, and I would like to make the most out of my money.
Okay, now Mike, this is an interesting one because I know we've had analysts on the show before talking about the difficulty of in holiday homes and the whole investing in that particular area that you might not get necessarily what you want. But it's an interesting proposition, isn't it, to also be living in the property? So maybe you can explain what the advantages would be there.
Well, Trish, a question I'd have for you is why Bateman's Bay? What has the particular attraction down there?
I used to live in Wollongong, and I actually saw the growth rate in Bateman's Bay.
Okay.
And at the moment, the market is quite flat, so I could pick this particular property up at quite a reasonable rate.
Yeah, okay.
And given some work on it, just some cosmetic work, I think I could probably double the amount it's worth.
Yeah, okay, because Batemans Bay, of course, is the holiday area of people who live in Canberra. So there are quite strong periods of demand in Batemans Bay from time to time. And there is a move towards some retirees in that part of the world, so there is some demand. I guess you've got the benefits of both here, and a bit hard for me to comment on the property, but you've actually got the opportunity to generate revenue through part of the property, through having a tenant. And if Batemans Bay your dream area and this is the sort of house that is your dream, then of course you've got the benefit of being able to live there as well. I guess psychologically you've probably got to be comfortable having a tenant right in your backyard and sharing a house and not knowing what the house looks like. You've just got to be comfortable with that, I suppose. Some people wouldn't be, but if that's of interest to you, Trish, then it sounds like you potentially could actually achieve two aims.
Should Trish be rock solid that she will get a tenant?
That's always a risk. I would say yes, but it is a risk if it is a bit quiet down there. And I'd really do your research through the real estate agents in that part of the world to make sure that if this is important to you in certainly financing the debt, that you've got to have a tenant. Understand that market really, really thoroughly before you go into it. What
do you think about that, Jamie?
Yeah, I think, Trish, it's a great idea, actually. I mean, you're earning $83,000 a year. You're someone that's knows a little bit about investing. You're obviously educating yourself, which is great. The idea of also generating an income by having a tenant in there, that just reduces your risk, increases your cash flow. So you're sort of getting best of both worlds. You get to live in the house. The main thing is obviously check the fundamentals. Is it a good buy, like Mike is talking about? Projected capital growth. If that stacks up, I mean, I sense you've already made your decision already.
Sounds like it. Okay, next on the line from Queensland, Stephen. Hi there.
Hi, how you going?
We're good, thanks.
Thank you. I just had a question regarding property. It just seems like obviously property seems to be coming up a lot, and I've been hearing property in Australia is probably one of the most expensive countries in the world. So
it is, yeah.
Buying in at the top of the market, would that be a good thing, or just obviously the concern about buying high?
Yeah. Well, no one ever wants to buy top of the market, I don't think, do they, Jamie?
Yeah, I think it's a very good question. I think there's always a lot of different opinions about that. My feeling is this: the IMF has the report that Australian property prices are overvalued by 20%. I don't think they fully understand the domestic market in Australia. They're basing that on global property markets, US, UK, which have taken substantial falls. I'm a bigger believer in property. No one knows, but here's the way you look at it. Would you advise your children to say, you know what, don't go out and buy a house now, wait 15, 20 years, because I think it'll be cheaper then? And I mean, you have to be a pretty brave person to say that. I think long-term property will still do well in the country, in Australia. Why? We have massive immigration, and one thing the government hasn't addressed yet is we don't have enough workers in this country. We have to open the floodgates and let a lot more people in there. That's only going to put more and more pressure on property. Right now, rents are going through the roof. I'm still a big believer in property. I don't think we're going to see the booms we've seen in the past, but long-term, if you bet, is property going to double in the next 10, 15 years? You've got to take the bet one way or the other, and I would be betting it will double in the next 15 years.
Mike, do you agree that it's going to do well and you're certainly not going to lose out of it in the long term?
I couldn't guarantee that you're not going to lose.
Because in some areas, people are losing, aren't they?
And that's part of the research you've got to do in any property purchase. There are some areas that will do better than others. You might not be able to buy into some of the more, I guess, downturn-proof areas, and we've talked about before about harbourside property or coastal property. But I think I'm with Jamie on this. You've got to get into the market. The Australian psyche is we love to have our quarter-acre block or our unit apartment, whatever it might be. Okay, there's been periods where I have seen property go a little bit backwards. But hey, I've had 3 houses now and it's not any cheaper than when I started. So if you're going to defer that and wait, you're not going to get into the market. It's just going to get harder and harder.
Jamie, we had one of our earlier callers talking about managed funds and they'd taken a hit, and he was very concerned about where it was all heading and what he should do about it. And I thought it might be appropriate just to quickly touch on superannuation, because of course many funds have taken a hit as well. People are seeing negatives for the first time in a long time, and people are genuinely concerned. I always ask analysts who are on the program what do they suggest people do, and pretty much all of them do say sit tight and don't panic. Is it as easy as that though?